Om Shanti. Very warm greetings of peace to all my sisters and brothers joining us for this online event with Spark. The topic is a very beautiful one, the healing power of God's love. Well, the first is to be able to understand that God cannot have a human form. God is that image that you see behind me. And of course, the image is an enlarged version, but it gives you an idea. But the form of the Supreme is that of an infinitesimal point of light. No bigger, no smaller, it can't be smaller. And infinitesimal means that it's like huge, 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 in the sense that from that point of light, the light that radiates and emanates can be experienced anywhere on the planet. The qualities that exist are as vast as the ocean. And so God is the being who has all of these positive attributes within that being. And that being has all qualifications of relationships that we could describe as mother and father and friend and companion and teacher and guru, the Satguru, the true guru, the guide. So we are actually able to receive everything that we need from our connection with this being, the Supreme, the Divine. And part of what we receive from the Divine is an experience of healing. We understand that mind and body, or rather soul and body, are intimately connected. The form of the soul is the same, just a point of light located here in the center of the forehead, just in front of the brain, in front of the pineal gland. And this is where they always show the location of the third eye, the eye of wisdom. And so wisdom is actually within the soul itself. And this is the location of the soul in the physical body. And you can see how if a driver sits at the controls of the car, then he's going to be able to manage to take the car to the destination of his choice. If the controls are elsewhere and the driver is sitting somewhere else, it would be a bit challenging. In the same way, in terms of control mechanisms of the physiology of this physical body, that would work through the brain and all the systems that nature, drama, God have put in place for us. A perfect, perfect system, so intricately balanced that if even there's something that's out of place for just a hairbreadth, then things go wrong. But everything delicately balanced together and everything works fine. It's a miracle, truly a miracle. And so whatever happens to the body has an impact on the soul, the mind. Whatever happens to the mind, the soul, also has an impact on the physical body. And so we need to have healing on both levels, on the spiritual level, but also on the physical level. And within the spiritual level, because I'm talking about our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and our personality, our understanding, our reason, our logic, all of this is contained within this point of light, the soul that I am. And so all the hurtful experiences I've been through, certainly in this life, but also maybe from past births, who knows, but certainly in this life, all of that is recorded within this point of light. And sometimes those hurts are so strong that they manifest as physical wounds sometimes, or physical ailments very often. people who study holistic health would probably say that over 90% of our illnesses are rooted in the soul itself. And then we see the manifestations on the external level in the physical body. But I'm not going to talk so much about the healing of the physical body, because there are many experts out there in the world who can help you with that. But I want to focus more on the healing of the inner being, the soul. When someone is hurt, whether it's the knee that's grazed or whether it's the soul that's feeling the suffering, then so often a mother's love is able to kiss away the pain, if it's a physical one, but also the mother is able to give a hug and a cuddle to the child, and the hurt is forgotten and doesn't leave such an imprint. God, our Supreme Mother, absolutely in the same way, reminds us, come to me, I am here for you. And in meditation, when I make that connection of the soul with the Supreme Soul, Yoga, union, Raj Yoga, the highest union, then in that experience of the connection with the power of the divine, the power of the Supreme, one has that experience of being filled with a huge amount of love, unconditional love, non-judgmental love, love that is infinite, love that has no end, love that seeks nothing in return except our well-being. And so in this connection of yoga, as I experience God's love, all the hurts that I carry within the soul are washed away. The soul is able to start healing. Takes a little bit of time, but the healing process begins to work because God gives us the support that we need to be able to wash away the dirt and rubbish that has accumulated where the wound has been sustained. If you don't treat a wound quickly, then it can fester and it can cause infection and many problems can arise. And in this case also, sometimes something happened 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and I still carry it in my heart. But surely it's time to allow God to let the process of healing work its way if I choose that this is what I want to do. And so in that experience of connecting with God, it's as if the dust and the dirt that have accumulated around that feeling of hurt, firstly, all of that is washed. And then the wound is given ointment with the power of God's love. And if I keep applying that ointment of God's love every day, then a moment comes when I say, I don't even think about it anymore. It's definitely not hurtful for me to think of that person or that situation or anything connected with that. It happened, it's okay, and now I'm actually fine. And so that process of God's love actually healing the soul is something which is very real and can truly, truly help us let go of the past. And also, as I fill myself with God's love, my perception begins to change, because it's as if my heart is opened up and is enlarged, and now in this big heart, there's the possibility of being able to forgive. In the process of healing, these two things are also vital. Being able to forget and being able to forgive. And the first step of forgiving is an important one. That is the first step. Sometimes forgetting takes a very long time, but certainly the first step is that of being able to forgive. And when I realize that in forgiving another, I am allowing myself to be free again. Otherwise, I carry that burden with myself, and it's very difficult to move forward. And so let me first experience God's love as the power that expands my heart and allows me to forgive, so that I can let go, and that situation is no longer causing me any additional pain. My forgiveness releases me from any pain that I was experiencing. And then the next step, to allow the process of healing to happen for the old wound that is still there. And the ointment that I spoke about, God giving me his healing power of love, of light, of purity, of peace. God's qualities know no boundaries. And in fact, when I start experiencing peace, I also start experiencing love. When I start experiencing love, I also begin to have a glimpse of truth, and I feel myself grow in wisdom. So all of God's qualities are deeply connected with each other. And so God's love begins that process of healing, and every day my heart becomes lighter, and it's easier and easier to face the new day, because I'm filled with hope and with confidence that yes, tomorrow can be much better than yesterday. And however old yesterday may be, maybe it's decades old. Sometimes in families, we pass on our sorrows from generation to generation. But allowing God's love to start the process of healing means I begin to feel lighter, I begin to feel happier, more cheerful, and I'm not carrying pain in myself anymore. There's a sentence I want to share that's very, very crucial. Hurt people hurt people. If I'm carrying hurt and pain, what's going to happen? Well, you know about it. I'm going to be hurting others. The words that I say may be filled with harshness, with bitterness, with anger, any of these things. But if I've dealt with the issues, and the path of Raj Yoga explains many, many things, and with that clarity of understanding, we're able to move on. And so definitely allowing that process to heal the soul, and sometime later, I can't give you a date for it. It could be a day, it could be a month, it could be longer. But you will actually feel that now that situation, even if it comes into your mind, isn't causing you any pain, any sorrow whatsoever. You've been able to go beyond it, and you've been able to literally touch the light and absorb that light of love within yourself. And so things are resolved, and you feel fine. You don't hold any grudges, that you don't hold any bitterness, and literally you've been set free. And so it's an amazing sensation, amazing feeling of freedom. And so my hope is that you'll experiment with this idea of sitting quietly, you and the divine, just the two of you, and allowing God's light of love to reach you and to be able to heal you, so that then things get settled forever, not just for a day or two. Sometimes what happens is that we try something that somebody has suggested, and it's great because for a day or two I'm fine, and then there's a trigger and something else emerges because it wasn't dealt with. You were able to set it to one side for a short time, but you didn't know how to settle it. And so connection with God means that my own capacity as a soul has developed and grown, an important factor is that I mustn't keep repeating those same stories from the past. Because if I do that, it's like raising the wound again. You've got a wound and it's been bandaged carefully. And if you keep lifting the bandage to see what's going on, there's never going to be the possibility of healing. It needs time and it needs your patience. And so leave the bandage on. Don't remove it, which means don't emerge it in your mind. And even if it emerges in your mind, certainly don't repeat it in words. Every time I repeat a story that's been painful, it stamps the soul further and further with that. The hurt goes deeper and deeper. And I've done that for a long time. I can't continue in that way anymore. I'm going to turn things around for myself. And then, yes, I'll see things turning around for others also. But the first thing I need to do is to turn it around for myself so that I don't get caught in that rut in my mind of the same image, the same thought, and it gets deeper and deeper and my aggravation gets stronger and stronger and I'm absolutely uncomfortable inside myself, at war with myself, in conflict with myself. And so, of course, if I'm still in that condition and I meet that person again, the words that come out of my lips just naturally, instantly, are going to cause a lot of pain and sorrow. Enough. I've done that enough. I don't want to continue in that way any longer. And so today, put a full stop to pain, take God's love, and let that love flow over you, and absorb as much of that love as you choose. You don't have to go through an intermediary. I, the soul, am the child of the divine, the supreme. So setting aside bodily beings, setting aside bodily images, even the images of the Dev Atmas, the Devtas, that's a whole different story. But I, the soul, detached from this skin of mine, from this body of mine, I focus on the divine, this being of light. And when I do that, there are no limits. In the connection, God's light, God's love reaches me, and I can stay there as long as I choose. And so experiment with this, and you'll be amazed at how you feel. You're lighter, your heart is easier. It's even possible to actually finish it completely so that you totally don't remember the story, the situation. You've been able to pack it up and throw it into the ocean. Let the ocean take care of it. You don't have to. So have a very good conference and enjoy every moment. And until we meet in physical person, stay well, stay safe. Om Shanti.